All right. I believe we are live. This is going to be a live video for today. I'm going to be talking about HUD homeownership program as I have in the past, but today's going to be a little bit of a spin. I'm going to be creating some stuff from Business Insider. And what I want to do is help you guys understand some of the basics. Now, like a lot of things out there, including vouchers or even navigating the system, I strongly advise you to work with a consultant when it comes to HUD homeownership program, or what some of you may term as Section 8 housing or homeownership. Okay, the reason is it's complex, and the housing authority may or may not always have your best interest in mind, and that's if the lower tier employees at the PHA even really give a damn. And so, to avert problems and the program dragging on, then you definitely would want to work with a consultant. Anyways, few introductions. My name is Jay. I am the owner of section8consulting.com. And today we're going to be featuring an article by Business Insider, which is a nationally recognized magazine. This particular article I was actually quoted on. So I think you'll see our company and my name and information in the article. So that'll be the basis of what we're discussing in the video today. All links and information that I'm discussing today in the video will also be in the description for as much as they allowed me to add. And then I will entertain questions throughout the video as long as it's not intrusive or off topic. So I have made some notes because, like all things, the system evolves. And though I have a very fine understanding of federal rules and housing programs, they've made further changes. So let's discuss my notes and what you're going to need to know if you're going to participate in the use of a voucher that would allow you to purchase a home. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is eliminate some things that many of you may have misinformation about. You cannot take your voucher to the local Wells Fargo bank and then request that you receive a house, okay? I don't really want to deal in that kind of ignorance. If you're struggling with that concept, then this may not be an appropriate video. Mental health checkup might be more suitable. Okay. There are people that struggle with concepts. I think most of you here as an audience do have your faculties together. If you do, then follow along. So the HUD homeownership program is not offered in all places in the nation. And in fact, as it rolled out over 20 years ago, it was across maybe 60% of all PHAs or public housing authorities in America. So the first established factor before you even entertain the idea of can I use my voucher to get a home would be determining whether your local housing authority offers the program. And it won't be just that program. It also is going to include SSF, or Family Self-Sufficiency, or FSS. And we'll discuss that as a next video in a day or two. So if you can establish this there, or you can establish that that program is being offered by another public housing authority that you can move to or port to or move your voucher to, then this would be worth it. So let's discuss some of the terms for this. I'm going to discuss the eligibility requirements. So HUD has some basic requirements for the Section 8 program to utilize your voucher. Under the program, it will service those Americans with low incomes. The majority of Section 8 homeowners must make 30% or less the median area income. So let's talk about what median area income is. That would be, we're going to pretend like I'm in my own special city, and that the greater majority of people that are employed or receiving Social Security receive approximately $100,000 a year. Then the area median income would be $100,000. Okay. Now that, of course, is an extreme example, but I would imagine for most areas of the country, it would range somewhere between 25,000 upwards of 100,000 in more extreme areas. Okay. Like San Francisco. Now, moving on from there, now that you meet the 30% requirement, it says that you cannot have owned a home for the last 3 years. Not you, not anybody in that household. So let's say Bob has a voucher. The first rule number one, if you haven't had the voucher for 12 months, you have not demonstrated that you've successfully used the voucher for 12 months, you cannot do this, okay? You can't go down to, hey, I'm going to sign up for a voucher. The minute I'm going to do a home ownership program. No, you're not. 12 months, minimum requirement. Beyond that, nobody in the composition of your household, not you, your mom, your dad, grandpa, your aunt, or even your children, must have owned a home in the past 3 years. If you've owned it in the past 3 years, you cannot do this. Okay. Moving on from there, employment status. Finally, unless you're elderly or have a disability, you'll need to have a job. Okay. But you heard me right. So many of you are on a fixed income. I've got Social Security Disability, SSI, SSDI, or I'm a widow and I've got survivor benefits. Yes, you could actually own a home. Okay. Let me tell you how that's possible. Now, one thing I want to do is I want to eliminate those of you that are having fantasies regarding the program and low income. If your total monthly income, regardless of your Social Security or a job, is less than $900 a month, this is not going to work out. Okay. You simply are not going to make enough unless you live in places like where I was raised. Some in the lower parts of Mississippi or Baton Rouge, where a house goes for $1 and working at the dollar store makes you middle upper class. Okay. For most parts of the nation, making less than 900 and trying to attempt to buy anything on the market other than a crack house is not going to be a possibility. Though there are other areas of the country where it could be a possibility, like, say, for instance, Detroit. Certain areas, believe it or not, they've revitalized a lot of big portion of Detroit, but there's still houses out there for next to nothing. But the cheaper the house, the worse off you are. So if you're going to go down to Detroit and purchase a home using the HUD homeownership program, I would advise that there be no less of an investment in a home valued at about $70,000. It's easier to make repairs than it is for you to go in cheap and then have to contract $100,000 of work. So the baseline investment for any home would be that you buy in at 70,000 or better. Okay. Anything lower than that, you're tying yourself in too much. And HUD homeownership program is not going to let you buy a fixer upper. It's got to be ready to go and meet federal guidelines. Moving on from there. So we've established essentially that even those of you on Social Security and fixed incomes could potentially own a home. Now, you're not going to own a palace. So you guys out there wanting a 15-bedroom home in Bel Air, again, you're still living in fantasy land. You need to come out of that, come back to earth. And if you can do that, then we can discuss what's reasonable. Now, moving on from there, specific criteria for eligibility. You must at minimum make $14,500. So a quick calculation, there are 12 months in a year, and a lot of them are going to do that. So for you are receiving $900 in fixed income, you're going to need to find a sideline of work. Okay. I don't care if you're giving out yoga lessons, braiding hair, walking dogs, whatever, make up the extra income however you can, even if it's through residuals off investments or financial instruments. That way you can raise it. And you're thinking, oh, well, if I do that, then I'm not going to have a fixed income anymore. They're going to take my Social Security check. No, you're in most cases allowed to make an additional $800 a year or month, every month throughout the year, as long as you don't exceed the maximum Social Security line of income. I would advise that you check into that with Social Security Administration. I'm not an expert in that area, okay? 14,500. That number can go up and down depending on the part of the nation. So that's not written in stone. This is an example, a broad example of the U.S., okay? Additionally, you also have to make under 50% of the median area income in your area, and those 75% of Section 8 households are 30%, okay? On to the last bit in part here. Besides that, most of you are going to want to not only participate in the HUD homeownership program, but as I mentioned, family self-sufficiency. Now, if you're disabled and on a fixed income or senior on fixed income, family self-sufficiency would be where you're already you're paying out 30% of your check towards your rent, the other parts being subsidized through your voucher. So what I'm suggesting here is basically that if you participated in family self-sufficiency, that 30% portion that you're paying into your landlord out of your own check or out of your own job, that would be matched 2 for 1. In other words, if you have $1,000 in rent, let's just say you have $1,000 in income, you're paying $300 in rent, then family self-sufficiency will take the $300 and put that in escrow and then match an additional $300 with a maximum cap of I believe $10,000 a year. So think of it as 401k1 for your house. And that dollar matching that you can max out every year at 10,000, that will allow you to have things like your down payment assistance and any small repairs you need to do to the home. Okay. Now that's going to be based on the 30% you're paying. Now, if you're one of these people who have a voucher and you only have a responsibility of $50, it's going to take you quite a while. Okay. Now, this is not including other programs out there that could happen because of natural disasters or pandemics, where they may give, like during the pandemic, the administration at the time gave $25,000 down towards the payment of a house. Of course, that's not around anymore, but there's always things happening at the federal, state, county, and city level. So you're encouraged to look through that. Also, I would encourage you to look into NACA, N-A-C-A, which is a home ownership program. Now, this NACA is not directly connected with housing authorities and HUD homeownership program, but it's a great way to do some learning and to figure out what direction you might want to go. But again, this is not something, out of all things under federal programs related to housing and vouchers, HUD homeownership program is not something you want to navigate alone. There's learning the hard way, dragging this out, and leaving yourself at the mercy of the housing authority, which in turn you get all the way through everything they want, and then they can find some new reason to get rid of you, your voucher, or violate you. Okay, so you need to have a defensible position, and you really do need to work with a consultant, because I'm gonna tell you why. Besides you dealing with that, there are other things we're not even talking about just yet, and that's credit, minimum credit scores, underwriting process, working with a real estate agent or brokers. So you have a party of different people that you're working with. The one that binds that like glue is going to be your consultant. For those of you that want to work with our office, you just reach out to section8consulting.com. We'll do so, or you can reach out to another qualified HUD consultant that is willing to work with you, or other programs. Now, many of you are going to suggest, oh, well, why don't I go do the free stuff? Well, how many times have you ever got something free that was worth a damn? Okay, think about that. This is not something you want to toy with. Your decision and what you understand and learn and how you administrate through this program to purchase a home will determine the next 15 to 30 years of your life. Okay. Do you really want to run down to the free option and see what Sally and Bob are going to tell you? Because again, you don't always know whether people have your best interest in mind. Sometimes you're going to want to deal with an expert. All right. I'm going to move on to comments here. And again, everything quoted here is based on the article that was written by Business Insider, which is a nationally recognized magazine, as well as website. And you can find, when you read through that, at the bottom, I put a link. You'll also see my company was quoted there. They don't take advice from idiots. And if I'm quoted there, I can assure you I'm an expert. All right, moving on from there. Good morning, Cheryl. Hello, thank you for these helpful videos as I'm located in Cali. Well, good morning, California. I know it's still early out there. You know, I just myself got up at 3:30 this morning, raced into town. Now, you know, we're in a small town, so people keep church hours. People don't even roll up the mattress till noon out here. It's annoying. The mall opens at maybe 4:00 in the afternoon. You know, you can't get anything done. It's rather annoying. But anyways, good morning, California. Oscar Calerbo. Even with requirements, it's becoming extremely difficult to get a hold of anyone who can verify all of our documents. Yeah, it can be. Let me tell you, as I had mentioned, out of all processes that are done and made through HUD and federal programs, HUD homeownership program is the most difficult. Don't be fooled by the little Mickey Mouse videos and training they give at the housing authority. There's plenty. And the decision to purchase homes and do it the right way or learn the hard way can be crazy. Okay. It's a lot involved. And every decision that you make poorly is going to affect you. Down to the interest rate could cost you an additional $100,000 by the time you get to the end of the loan. You want to consult with an expert. I'm serious. This is not something to toy with. It's one thing to think you're the smartest guy in the room when you're trying to get a voucher. It's another when you're dealing with purchasing a home, because there is a brutal way to do this. There's an average way of doing it and still being left out, being a bag holder, and then there's doing it the right way. Okay, I can't express that enough. Whether you're reaching out to my company or any other, don't be a fool. Okay. If your air conditioner breaks, you call the AC man. If your Section 8 breaks, you better give me a call or another consultant. Seriously. I've seen this go so badly. Look, don't call me when you mess it up. I'm not gonna fix a used car. I won't do it. Not with HUD homeownership program. We either do it right from the beginning or just forget about it. Don't call me in the middle when you lit everything on fire and it's all about to collapse. Because I'm not going to waste. I'm not going to work twice as hard. I'm just not going to do it. BZB, thank you for all that you do to inform the community. Well, thank you, BZB. Ms. Brignac, how can I make an appointment with you? Because I want to own a home. And you're in Baton Rouge, my hometown. That's where I was born, at the Lady of Lake. I tell you what, guys, I'm going to put up our linkage again for those who want to reach out to our office. So we'll put up our linkage and reviews and all that good stuff. Anybody that engages in services. Oh, wait a minute. So I copied and pasted the bit they put in that article regarding our company. I apologize. I didn't mean to do that. Let me grab the information regarding our company. So, anytime anybody engages in services with our company, we would be under a contractual agreement that would apprise you of your rights, both state, federal, and county. And also with the engagement with between our office, myself, HUD, NEPHA, as well as our attorney's office. Okay, it's not a bar napkin deal. And we also, inside of that, offer case management. In other words, we're going to hold your hand through it. We handle about 97% of the process, but you must be able to sign your name. You must be able to make decisions, and you must not be a nuisance through the process. Clearly, I want to educate and teach people, but there's a reason why I tend to handle cases more than my clients. That's because your best ideas aren't going to equate getting things done efficiently or even the right way. So too much involvement for those of you that like to be super involved, that's a complete nuisance for me. I understand to be well apprised, we'll do that. But this is more of a circumstance where you don't want to spend the next 8 years of your life trying to figure it out, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and put the linkage up that I said I was going to do. Hopefully I get it right this time. All right, so company information, company website, as well as our reviews and all that. I think we got 300-400. You can also check on Google. We have pretty good reviews there. We don't have any marks against us. And, of course, you can always contact Department of Justice, FBI, to ensure we don't liens, holds, judgments, or accusations of fraud. Do be aware that I'm at 50% retirement, which means that I only take a certain number of cases regarding either home ownership program, or navigating the system, or assisting people in the pursuit of vouchers, okay? So I'll have limited openings in that. All right, moving on from there. Benzo, can you buy a house on Project Based Voucher? No, you cannot. But what you can do is request that you convert your Project Based tenancy and see if the housing authority will grant you a housing choice voucher as soon as available. When you do that, you have 12 more months to serve under that new HAP contract, and then you can move on to HUD homeownership program. Let's think about this logically. For those of you guys that are super logic, okay? You can pay 70% of your landlord's mortgage, or you can pay 70% of your mortgage. Now, let's rethink that once again. The housing authority can pay your landlord's mortgage, 70% of it, or it can pay your mortgage 70%. You own the home, which means you don't answer to the housing authority. I want you guys to become unindentured. The first battle was, hey, I've learned to deal with my humility, and I'm willing to go get a voucher. That was step number one. You're willing to eat your own ego despite all the things people say and hear about. Section 8. So you passed that test. Test number 2. I managed to survive using the voucher, and I didn't run my mouth at the housing authority. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't become a nuisance to my landlord, and my caseworker doesn't hate me. That's test number 2. Test number 3. I have successfully utilized that voucher, and I have enough common sense to understand, even if I'm on a fixed income, that the ultimate use of the voucher would to graduate yourself to the HUD homeownership program. That way you can allow the housing authority to dump all that equity into that home. Now, when you get that home, let's think about this logic. Oh, well, Jay, how the hell am I supposed to support all the costs of a home? Let's talk about that 3-bedroom house that you purchase. Every bedroom can be rented. The garage can be rented under garage.com. The backyard can be dogwalking.com. You can monetize the whole house and make money. Okay? So I don't want to hear anything about, oh, there's no way. Yeah, there is a way. When there's a will, there's a way. When you're left on the sidewalk and you're 3 inches from homelessness, people find all kinds of ways to become businessmen at that point to get the hell off that street. But many of you have never been challenged. This will be the challenge of your lifetime. But anytime the U.S. government is going to allow a voucher to pay 70% of your mortgage over a duration of anywhere from 7 to 15 years, you'd be a fool. There's no better deal in the market. Everybody else that goes out and gets a loan for a home has to pay that mortgage. You're getting two things. One, you're getting the vast majority of the rent paid with your own voucher, which means that's equity going into your home that you can take a loan against for a long duration of time. Number two, for those of you that utilize Family Self-Sufficiency Program, you're dollar for dollar matched on that 30%. So that 30% you get taken out. So your income, that 30% of your income, you're paying towards your rent, your portion, that's being matched dollar for dollar. If you're putting in $300 a month and you're paying the landlord, your portion is $300. They're matching. Now you got $600 in escrow for the duration of as long as you're under the Family Self-Sufficiency Program before you purchase the house. So you literally have, your home has a 401k1 that can be maxed at $10,000 a year. Don't be foolish. Why would you guys want to sit on a voucher when you can own a home and have the 401k1? And I'm saying 401k1, but it's the Family Self-Sufficiency. It's time to graduate. So many of you are thinking, well, why would I go through all that extra? I got too much going on now. I can barely walk. I'm in a hospital bed. I'm dying of cancer. Well, it's simple. You went through a whole lot of extra when you decided you want to sign for a voucher. You went through a whole lot of extra when the caseworker talked to you like a hooker on 3rd Street. You went through a whole lot of extra when you sat by the telephone for 15 years. You went through a whole lot of extra when it took you almost a year and a half to find a place to even move in, and it was still a crack house. So you got a whole lot of extra. So I don't want to hear any shit about, hey, man, that's just too much. I'm on blood pressure pills. I've got a missing the eyeball in the leg. I can't do that. That's just too much. I don't want to hear that. It's time to graduate from the voucher into HUD homeownership program. Let's be real. Tired of excuses. If I've got people that just crawled out of the ditch on the street, sleeping in the forest, and I got to hear from my clients about all their babbling shit about they got a disability. Well, look, there's lots of people that got disabilities that live in homes because they decided to learn from all that adversity, all that stress, not having a dollar, having to figure out how to spend a half a dollar. So I don't want to hear it here. Now, I get it. Some of you have very severe disabilities and other setbacks. I get that. But what I'm saying is, for those of you that think you can push your will a little bit harder, you're not going to find any other place on the planet that's going to cover that much of a mortgage. You're not going to find another place or another deal or another bank on the planet that's going to offer family self-sufficiency and match you dollar per dollar for every dollar you pay into rent. They're going to cover an extra dollar, put it in escrow, and cut you a check at the end of the term. So do you really, really want to sit on that voucher and do nothing and just have a pity party? No. It's time to push you guys into better thinking. You get that house, then you're going even further. You're monetizing the house. You're learning constructively. In many ways, you're learning how to exit. It's going to teach you a lot about yourself. It's going to show you your children, and even if your parents live, it's going to show them there's a lot more to you than they ever thought. And for you personally, it's going to teach you inside of you, your own mind, of the core of what you are, that you're capable of a hell of a lot more despite your setbacks and disabilities. Spent my career worrying about people I'm not even related to. I spent my career teaching people for nothing, not a red cent. Not a single one of these videos has a credit card reader because I care. And if I'm telling you this stuff, like I told you the other day about California and landlords not wanting to take those vouchers and stepping into small claims court to go collect your free $1,500 check, then you should. If I'm giving you advice, it's real. If it's being quoted in Business Insider, quoting my name and my company, I must not be too big of an idiot. Then it comes down to whether or not you accept your own advice. Do you accept your own wisdom? Do you believe that you're capable of these things? And for God's sake, I hope you guys are. Because there's nothing worse than watching you guys languish in project-based housing in the hood, in the trailer park, in the bad side of the neighborhood, where white folks, black folks, brown folks are all doing the wrong thing. I want better for all of y'all. People that want to go do that. I want to see y'all languish. Owning your own home gives you the option then to prove that you're really an American. You got a piece of America. That's what I want for you guys. All right, let's move on back here. I've done all the sweet and cushy things I can in terms of pushing you guys the HUD homeownership program, but the initial part of getting into HUD homeownership program requires you to do simply what I had stated. Number one, have a voucher and have used it 12 months. Number two, nobody in the household may have purchased a home the last 3 years. Number three, have an income ranging anywhere from $900 a month to a little over $1,500 a month to meet the criteria, but that will change state to state, county to county. Beyond that, meet the lender requirements. Beyond that, meet the credit score requirements. A lot of different things. The reason I can't speak in specific terms to label it is because there are tens of thousands of counties around America. There isn't a possibility of me remembering their specific policies, procedures, or even their administrative plans for every housing authority in America. Alone, there's 4,400. I'm lucky to have dealt with about 40% of them. But, all these housing authorities and HUD homeownership programs, and regardless of where they are, it comes down to, do you want to sign up and see if you're eligible? Two, do you want to utilize the family self-sufficiency program to escalate to have your down payment? And do you have the intelligence to understand that some things that are designed on the planet, like going to court and so on, require sometimes you be backed by a professional unless you want to learn the hard way. All right, going back to comments here. And happy fall for you folks that are non-holiday, and happy Halloween as it approaches for those of you, my little witches and ghouls out there. All right. Natasha Brignac, how many clients do you take? Well, I'm not going to discuss that in the channel. I don't see how that would be appropriate to anything. We take roughly 12 a month on casework, but I mean, all right. So Natasha goes on to say she's been in the same home 9 years. G.E. Watt or Wyatt, what are the best state to buy a house at a voucher? That question is a good one, simply because it's based on more about what you need than it is whether or not the state. There's too many factors to consider. So, that's what casework is for. It's why I work with people and offer casework, so we can look at the big picture, all the options available, see which ones could work and which ones may not. While it may look favorable because it's the cheapest state and the cheapest rent, doesn't mean you want to live there. In other words, we need to examine composition of household, incomes, credit scores, how all this fits together, and then whether or not I believe the client has the ability to even get through these different programs that are offered. Then you're going to pre-qualify. And so, in other words, we got to look at that as well. So I cannot recommend a specific state on the basis that I don't even know anything about you. Cheryl, I have no interest in buying in California. Well, nobody really does unless you're wealthy. So I can agree with that 100%, Cheryl. Mr. or Mrs. Brigness says, thank you for helping us. I appreciate you. I appreciate you back. You're the first person today that even bothered to thank me. Ethereal Goddess. I love that name. How do you calculate how much you can use towards a house? Calculations and for the HUD homeownership program are going to be specific to each PHA, so I cannot give you a rough number on that yet. You'd want to reach out to my office regarding that, okay? I am making sure you had availability. That's why I asked. I figured as much. Sometimes I can be a bit of a smart ass in my own videos. I do that sometimes, spice things up. Don't take me personally, guys. That's just the nature of the beast. When you're born in a trailer park in southern Louisiana, we have a mixture of culture, of professionalism, and then sometimes a bit of attitude. I don't mind letting people know exactly where I came from. I'm probably the only one that didn't land in prison that I grew up with in that trailer park. So that goes to show you. Come on up like George and Wheezy, right? The Jeffersons. So I managed to survive that trailer park, and I didn't do 30 years for murder or drug dealing. That's what most of my friends that I grew up with are probably doing right now. So I've come a long ways myself. And I don't mind admitting that. That's okay. We can all be for somewhere tough. It's what you do with your life later that matters. I'm spending mine in service to people that need it, and homeless, disabled, and seniors. Or you can spend it in service to dealing crack cocaine and everything else. Or you can turn 70 and then retire from being a street hooker. It's really your choice. I even help prostitutes that are retired. Sometimes they retire in their late 80s. It just depends. Again, I'm being a smart ass, but I'm not going to joke. I've had a few clients that, were pretty old, but hey, if you can still shake a leg for $10 and do it. And again, I'm not recommending anybody go out and be a prostitute. Okay, let's just be real here. I know there's a few of you take everything literal, but I don't want y'all turning tricks on Halloween. All right, so Michael Robinson, how would I be able to get a loan? Okay, so when it comes to HUD homeownership program, the Housing Authority is going to provide you with a federal list of pre-approved lenders, and that's to help you avoid loan sharks. So in other words, the Housing Authority is not going to sponsor the HUD homeownership program for you and then allow you to go out to a loan shark. You're not going to do rent to own and all that jazz. The federal government's very clear about how it wants to pay for the voucher, which in turn pays for your mortgage, okay? So you're not going to go out and look there. You're going to get a list. It's likely going to be the more common banks out there, maybe a few that aren't even banks, but no loan sharks. Okay, that's how that's going to play out. And Oscar says, "Move on the east side." Hey, look, anytime you can move out of the trailer park. Look, I'll tell you a quick story about the old trailer park. I used to watch these people buy these nice fancy trailers. They'd move that in that big old gigantic trailer park in Baton Rouge. And it takes about 2 or 3 days for those trailers to get power. By then, the kids in the neighborhood already robbed you blind. And then we'd all laugh as we see the trailer roll back out the park because they discovered they'd moved into hell. Yeah, you move your fancy trailer into a tough neighborhood. By the time you got the light bulbs turned on, you'd already been robbed blind. It was crazy. Look, those were crazy time back in the 70s and 80s. So that's how we welcome people to the trailer park. Now, everybody's got their own version of trailer park. White folks tend to hang out in trailer parks. The Mexicans tend to have their own side of town. Black folks sometimes end up in the what they preferably call the hood. But it's all the same thing. It's simply people having tough times. It doesn't mean anything other than that, unless you make it more than that, okay? But yep, if you moved in the old park, we'd rob you blind. I never personally engaged in that activity. That's why I'm still here. But I'm sure we can go visit some of those sitting in the penitentiary. Julian Nielsen, how long does it take FSS last? According to my understanding, that is set on the basis of the PHA, but I would imagine they have a 5-year cap on it because they're not going to want you to run that old 401k1 on it for too damn long, especially with a $10,000 cap on it every year. So probably by the time you collect about $50,000, they're going to be about ready to kick you out of that escrow. Ricky B, I grew up in North Baton Rouge. Well, Ricky, then we know all about that. We all know all about that. I know it was tough back in the day growing up out there in Baton Rouge, and schools were tough too. There were a few schools that were more like gladiator camps. They weren't really schools. If any of y'all went to Capitol High, and a few other places in Baton Rouge, tell you it ain't for the faint of heart. Anyways, you guys stop. I shouldn't be talking about all this. We're here for HUD homeownership program. We're going down the old glory days where you go to prison. Jason, good morning, Jason. Thank you so much for the amazing information. Buying in California, hopeless. I grew up here. Well, you know what? California's got some tough situations, doesn't it? I always thought we were tough out in Baton Rouge. There are parts of California where it's more like a war zone. So I don't think even Baton Rouge can compete with parts of California. Julie Nielsen, happy Halloween. Well, thank you so much. I'm hoping to bring some of my kikis, my cats. Many of you know I rescue them. At one point, I had around 32 out here on our 10 acres. And I'm hoping to bring around our Siamese and Little Mama and a few other of my cats. If you love pets, you're going to love my channel. I get lots of people object. I just kick them out of the channel, but my cats will appear in some of the videos. It's not constructed. They're just letting me know they want to be petted, and they don't give a damn if I'm making a video or not. They are the love, joy, and pride of my channel, and many of you that quite enjoy pets will enjoy our channel. Natasha goes, it's still like that in North Baton Rouge. Hell, I've heard old Baton Rouge is really having it rough these days. I rode through the last time. I'm not even sure I drive my windows down anymore. Tiz, how long is the mortgage for a 10 or 15? Well, mortgage terms and how long they're going to help you let you use your voucher amount against the mortgage is going to be based on the term. So you get a 30-year loan, they're probably going to be in 7 to 15. If you're on a 15-year loan, then probably going to be a lot less, 3 to 5. Exacting terms for that will change PHA to PHA. Again, as glorious as my mind can be in terms of federal programs, rules, policies, procedures, I can tell you that I cannot remember them for all 4,400 housing authorities. The more detailed questions and the motivation to move forward with this, I'd recommend booking a very short consult with our office. You'll find that I am a walking library when it comes to this information. That's why I can make hour-long videos without ever reading from a teleprompter, because that's the difference between a real consultant and many of the people that make videos. Those people that make videos on YouTube are not consultants, most of them. And so they're just entertainers. They're there to make copper pennies every time you click on an ad. I could give a damn if I ever made $1 off of YouTube. I'm here to educate. I don't care about ads and all that stuff. What I do care about is getting you guys graduated from the use of a voucher to doing this the smartest way possible. That is the high point of this, is using what's available to you to greatly improve your life, to not think you're the smartest person in the room for once, okay? There are lots of you 55 and older that are going to question this. I have a fixed them. How is this possible? Stop thinking about the negatives. Start thinking about the possibility. Allow me to prove you wrong. I'll demonstrate that both through policy, procedure, and federal rules. You allow me to demonstrate that, then you'll find a path. If you let your negative sense of personality take over from this, then you're never going to graduate any further than you being somebody that pays the landlord's mortgage, okay? I challenge you guys to open your mind and quit listening to eyewitness news. News reporters are not consultants. They're not experts. What they're experts at is stirring shit up, giving out misinformation, publishing articles that are based on thin air. Deal with a real consultant. You'll get real answers. Julian Nielsen, condos. Look, let's be clear about the types of homes. You don't have to purchase a home, guys. You can deal with tiny homes. You can deal with mobile homes, trailers, duplex, complex, multifamily, across the board. HUD has really done some big changes in terms of what's acceptable under this program after the pandemic. We have inflation and a tight housing market, especially in California. That means they're opening up the doors to a lot more properties, as long as the property has, if you can take a tape measure and you can measure 200 square feet on the ceiling. Okay, what does that mean? It means you take a tape measure from one end of the ceiling to the other, and if it measures out 200 square feet, now I'm not going to do calculations for you guys. If you don't know what 200 square feet and how to measure for that, then that's a tough situation. And there's a reason why they choose a ceiling rather than the floor, because a lot of times it can be smaller if you measure on the floor than it would be the ceiling. Okay, that's why. But if you can measure out 200 square foot and you can pass a HQI, a housing quality inspection, and also the regulator, which would be the person that does the HUD homeownership. So not only does the housing authority going to inspect the home, but also the bank. They're not going to lend you money without knowing what's going on with the home. But so you have lots of options open to you, and they'll really loosen the rules for that. So I think you guys should get out there and explore the concept. Do I have enough fortitude? Do I have enough steam left in me? Do I have enough fight to make one more big run at this, to graduate myself out that voucher? A. Marie says, you are absolutely amazing being. Thank you. Well, that's yet to be judged. Let's hope when I take my last breath, I don't regret everything I've done in my life. I certainly regret the first half. So let's hope I've made up for it in the second half. Tiz, can you use this program for a duplex? We have to be clever about this. There's a possibility. It depends on how it's set up, okay? They're not going to let you buy an investment opportunity. I know a lot of you guys are smart as a whip, because you're already talking about, multifamily properties. There could be a potential for that, but you have to be very careful, okay? If the housing authority thinks you're going to go start renting out multifamily, then they may not want to jump into that deal with it. And of course, that would mean you're moving your loan into corporate or commercial loan. So that's why we would advise with also not just a consultant, but with a broker, okay? One of the fortunate things about being a company like mine, we deal with law firms all day long. So roughly anywhere from 50 to 100 attorneys a year. The court system as well, both state and federal. And I deal with lots of real estate agents and brokers. So I have a massive portfolio of people that I can pull from. Many of us were kind of trading favors, which makes it a lot easier for my office than I'd have to staff somebody like that, okay? Well, guys, I think I've said quite a bit about this. And again, it was my surprise this morning. So I'm reading again. I was reading this article through Business Insider, only to find out that the article itself, as I got to the bottom, that they were actually quoting me. And so materially, the article that I've linked up in here was really written based on the basis that they were actually listening to my videos and advising our company. And so I thought that was pretty intriguing this morning. It'd have been nice if Business Insider had chose to reach out to me and let me know they were going to develop the article and quote me throughout it. And based on the language I've used in the article, I do believe that they pretty much used the vast majority of my videos to make that article. But I'm not going to hate on them. We'll take any credibility we can get in terms of getting the message out. So it's not about feeling important or accolades or whether or not CNN decided to feature anything that I wrote, but it's more about, can we get the message out? Can we improve the lives of people that may not have a lot to give? That's what the real message is here, okay? It's not about importance, self-interest, self-centeredness, okay? This is about helping a body of people that otherwise may not be able to get help from anybody, caring about people that most people don't want to care about, keeping people's dignity intact when even the housing authority treats you badly. That's what all this is about. That's what we have to remember, not only as Americans or whether you're a Christian or a Buddhist or Muslim. It's about treating people as you'd want to be treated and dealing with people ethically. All right, there goes my good lesson for the day. Let me answer the last few questions so nobody gets upset. Ethereal Goddess, can you rent a room, though? I don't know the context of that question. I would imagine if you own the home, you can rent all the rooms out if you want. Hell, you can go live in a garage if you want to. Nobody's stopping you. It's your home. The minute you take that loan, you sign your name, that's your home. The housing authority, Nancy and Bob that are at the housing authority have shit to say about you and your home. Their mouth, they got no power over that. That's another thing, guys. You do realize by purchasing the homeownership program and purchasing that home, what you're doing is you're relinquishing the strings that are attached to you as a puppet. It means you're releasing from yourself from being indentured. If you don't know what indentured means, the same thing it meant when people were on a plantation. The more power you give ignorant ass people at the housing authority over you, the more they're going to talk to you ignorant. This is a way out for many of you. This is a way for you to have some semblance of respect or dignity through a very difficult process of being low income. Many of you didn't choose to be this way. Some people were born with disabilities. It's not a license to run over people. You see my point? If I don't care, then who the hell should? All right. Michelle Bancroft, can you buy a 2-bedroom home? Look, you can buy whatever you qualify. If you qualify for 11 bedroom, buy it. For God's sake, do it. Hell, before you even get the key to the door, I'd already have the damn thing on the market ready to rent rooms. That way you can turn a profit. And you tell your renters, cash only, baby. Cash only. Mama only takes cash. I probably just gave y'all some really bad tax advice when I said that. But that's okay. A really good consultant will always give you some real good advice. Beverly, can you post your articles on family self-sufficiency? Well, I don't write articles. News agencies write articles about me, or they'll either quote me. There's lots of them over the years that have quoted me plenty. So I don't want y'all to think that I'm authoring books. Now, you've got guys that have written books like Section 8 Secrets, which should be renamed Section 8 Bullshit. The fantasy guide to nowhere. Lots of people writing scammy shit out there based on watching all my videos, and you go write a book. It's amusing at best. Okay? If you want to write Section 8 Secrets, sound like something you give a child. 10 Secrets to Catching a Bug. Who the fuck writes a book about Section 8 Secrets? Unless you're just a fool. But hey, there are all kinds of Americans who want to read all kinds of garbage. Now, this is written by a person who's not even a consultant, so you can bet that all that information that got off the bathroom stall at the fucking trucker station. So I'm sorry, it upsets me because there are literally people with very low IQs are going to believe shit like that. One of the things featured in some of these books, one of these Section 8 secret books, I actually recommend you bring a piece of the housing authority. I'd rather roll over my fucking grave than to go and buy somebody at the housing authority a pizza and think that's going to be the answer to getting a voucher. not only are you foolish and clueless, but you probably get thrown out the building for being a fool, and then they're going to call you back and talk to you like shit anyways. Please don't go take advice from all these crazy books. There's nothing in there. I mean, they're not even secrets. It's I'm sorry. I don't want to throw anybody on the bus, but those are not secrets, really. All right, Natasha, I'm going to wish you all a good day. Sorry for all the profanities, but when I get to thinking about Section 8 scam books all over the market, I would advise against that, okay? You'd be better off getting advice from a hooker on 3rd Street than you would buying one of those books or one of these so-called programs where you can subscribe and give all your money away every month, okay? You get achieve the same goal by giving those folks down in India. They'll have you run down to CVS and get you a gift card. And as soon as they get that gift card number, they're going to be gone. There's no difference between that and all those books, okay? Bullshit's bullshit. All right, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you, and I hope to see you again. Tomorrow, we're going to address family self-sufficiency. So we're going to get the other half of the pie, and then we're going to discuss how that plays out, how you can capitalize. Hey, if you're going to play the game and you're going to do this right, then you better capitalize on everything you can get out of this, okay? Otherwise, you're just being foolish about it. It means you're putting your toe in the water to see if it's bubbling hot or if it's going to be lukewarm. You've got to be willing to survive adversity. This is nothing that's going to give you this much. It's going to be easy. All right, guys, enjoyed talking with you. We'll see you tomorrow between, let's say, 9 a.m.-ish Central Standard or up to 10 a.m. Central Standard, okay? Good day, and bye-bye.